Well, this is a very exciting week. I don't know which day of the week you're watching this on, but it's election week when a number of seats are up for re-election, not the least of which is the presidency. So we're very excited to see what comes out of this week, and we are praying for our country. Isn't it a great thing to be a part of a free nation? You know, not everybody has had that opportunity, and being an American and living in a place where we elect our leaders, well, it's a wonderful thing. Of course, the first president of the United States was George Washington. And before we had a president, we had a war, the Revolutionary War. And Washington was a general in that war. Many of the soldiers that fought in that war went without pay for many years, some of them for 6 years without pay. And after the war was over and we won against the British, a lot of the soldiers needed money, but Congress was saying they were bankrupt and they couldn't pay. This, of course, angered a lot of the men, and they even began staging a revolt, wanting to lead a military coup against Congress so that they could get their money. And they came to Washington himself and proposed that they make him a king. And this is when George Washington did one of the most impressive things in history. He refused to be made king. Here are his words when he refused. He said, "Gentlemen, as I was among the first who embarked in the cause of our common country, as I never left your side one moment, but when called from you on public duty, as I have been the constant companion and witness of your distresses, it can scarcely be supposed that I am indifferent to your interests. But this dreadful alternative of either deserting our country in the extremest hour of her distress or turning our arms against it has something so shocking in it that humanity revolts from the idea. I spurn it, as every man who regards liberty undoubtedly must." Those are amazing words, and they show what a great man Washington was. The whole world was surprised at his refusal to be made king. Even the King of England, when George III heard about this, he said, if it's true, he is the greatest man in the world. And it really is amazing, and it says something about the character of George Washington, and it says something about the character of our nation, that we are free, and we have elected leaders, and we are not run by kings who have unlimited terms of office. Now, Washington wasn't the only man in history who refused to be made king. There was another one who lived long before George Washington, who had even more right to the throne, but he had good reasons as well for refusing to be a monarch. And I'm talking about Jesus Christ. This is something that happens in John chapter 6 after he's fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish. This was an amazing miracle, of course, and it impressed people very much, and they realized it signified that he was the fulfillment of the prophecies about the king or the prophet who was to come. And so John writes in John chapter 6 that when the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." Perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again to the mountain by himself. So when he saw that they wanted to make him king, he withdrew from them. Now this is an interesting thing because we call Jesus Christ. And the word Christ means king. It's the Greek equivalent to the Hebrew word Messiah. All those words, Messiah, Christ, they mean king. So Jesus accepted the title. In fact, in Matthew chapter 16, verse 16, Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." What he's saying is, you are the king. And Jesus commended him for making that confession. That's the confession we're all asked to make when we become Christians. Why did he refuse to be made king on this occasion? Well, the reason is he was a king, but not the kind of king the people wanted. They wanted a political king. They wanted a friend in high places who would give them what they wanted. They wanted a rival to Herod and a rival to Caesar. And that's not at all what Jesus came to do. When he was put on trial, he was accused of being that kind of king. And Pilate kept asking him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He asked him that over and over again. And Jesus had to tell him, according to John chapter 18, verse 36, "My kingdom is not of this world." Jesus is king, but not an earthly king. He's something far greater. He's the sovereign ruler of the universe. He sustains all things by the word of his power. He is a spiritual king who can liberate us from sin and give us so much more. Is he your king? Is he the ruler of your life? How do you look at him if you view him as a king? Is he a friend in high places who will get you the kind of things that you want? Is he some kind of political ruler to you? Or is he the savior of your life, the ruler of all things, the king of righteousness? That's the king he wants to be for you. Will you follow him and let him be that kind of king? Have a great day.